See all these telephone poles. I don't think I've ever talked about this before. I'm sure it's on YouTube, but all these wires, telephone poles, telephone wires, it's all of our electricity, right? Just take notice when you're driving. I mean, it's nothing new, obviously, but I have a point behind all of it. And, well, the point is, when you see the 5G towers, it's all wireless. It's energy, whatever they got going on up there, multi-purpose things they're not telling us, like that they're really speakers also. And you know, for the internet, frequencies, whatever, you name it, it's everything. But the point I'm getting at is they're looking to make this place telephone foolproof. They're looking to make it telephone pole free. And the best way to do that is, well, number one, just freaking cut the electric. Just cut the electric. Pull the switch. Blame it on North Korea shooting an EMP, a missile at our satellite system, or Russia, whatever, China, whoever. One of the three, Iran or four. Either way, it's going to be blamed on another country when it's really the same person that owns all the countries. So all these wires that run continuously all throughout America, I mean, I'm sure throughout the world, but because I live here in America, that's what I'm talking about here. But because I'm a captive of Judah here in America, and there's a lot of us that are captive already. We're already captive. But because America is first, and you know what? Here's the one thing that it is kind of annoying with YouTube and the agents that are spreading information. They hear what we're saying the entire time ahead of time, right? And then as we're getting closer, like now, as we're getting closer, I mean, I don't want to sound like RFB, but what I'm getting ready to say will sound like RFB. It's just the only difference is I'm real and he's not. So, I mean, we're real people, but he has a script to read, and that's that. I mean, I don't have scripts to read. It just comes from the top of my head. But it seems like the things that I say beforehand, not everything, because I you know, again, I'm hot or cold. I'm not simmering. But there's certain things, like, you know, when I say 2 years ago that Russia and China and North Korea, they're coming after us, and America is first, and America is Babylon. I mean, according to the script of the elite, what they're playing out, America is Babylon. America will fall. New York will most likely be the beginning of the finale, the movie, the finale. So that tsunami that happens over there. Again, my beliefs are just, they're mine only. Obviously, apparently, I mean, I am supposed to be the only one that is to believe what I'm saying with the magnitude of everything combined. So, when you say America's first, Donald Trump is read between the lines, then yeah, I want God to get credit for the people that he chooses to use to distribute information unscripted. I do want us to get the credit for it. But however, what happens is these bigger channels, well, they are obviously stealing our information, and then they use it, and then they say, well, it seems like everything that I say a year or two ago is happening now, and it's on the news, and now all of a sudden everybody is believing it. But once before I was a conspiracy theorist, and now in your face. All right. So yeah, that's the part that kind of man, I really shouldn't have taken this way. That's the part that becomes slightly irritating, because you see that, well, they're not original, and they're stealing. Yes, they're stealing, and they're lying. So not being original, being a thief and a liar, yeah, it's kind of annoying, just like the one headlights. But you just learn to deal with it. Understand that people just don't believe. There's a lack of faith everywhere. There's a total lack of faith on that side, at least. I mean, even on the children of God, we are all still going to have doubts as to, well, how's God really going to, how is he going to do it? How is he going to stop this from happening? And even those that believe in the rapture, how's that going to happen? How is he? I mean, it's like this, because I believed in it 7 years ago that same way. I still respect the people that believe the same, because you know what, it's like the division that these people are trying to put in between everybody, that's sickening. But to believe that God, and have that faith that God is going to take you up out of here, I don't care if it's misunderstood or not, if it is true and it does happen that way, or it doesn't. The fact that you believe wholeheartedly that that's what God's going to do, that's faith, okay? So when it comes to, well, no, the rapture's not, you're an idiot. You believe in the pre-trib rapture or the mid or the post? Stupid. No, that's dumb to argue. Keep in mind, okay, this is where people are getting separated and divided, and they are doing it purposely. Keep in mind, if you believe in the rapture, you have faith in God that he's going to take you up out of here. Now, it's just a word, rapture, plucking up, taking away, being harpazoed. I look at it as simply as this. There's something that God's going to do, right? That is going to be an instant change. And then as that table is completely turned, the elite and everybody else who works for the elite and all the low-level flunkies, it's their turn to mourn, because it's going to be That will be, because there's a timing, there's a time for everything. That's going to be their time. The time of vengeance, the time of revenge, the time of ahaha, that'll be the time for us. At the same time that they're crying, we're laughing, because we get the last laugh, right? So that's the part about being divided. And obviously there's these agents out there that are hired to do that exact reason, and then they hire their little dominions that troll around on YouTube, and they try to feed people information that ain't true. So one thing, and I didn't even realize it, Killer Whale, I didn't realize it until I watched your video today, that because some of the things that you're saying, I'm like, wow, where is she even, why is she even thinking that? You know, about me being your brother, like literally looking like your brother that has passed. No, I don't take that at all as any kind of, that's the only reason you're watching me? No, but I can see how, because they did it before. They separated my entire channel, and then all I did was I reached out and joined back together what man has tried to divide. So I can see, and I did give you the heads up, anybody who sticks up for me, and I can say this with absolute confidence in a time of trouble, because I am a faithful man all the way around, to my wife, to God first and foremost. So I can say with absolute confidence that if anybody makes videos and sticks up for me, you will get attacked. And it's not by me, because I heard the same thing. Oh, they're coming after you. Oh yeah? Well, how do you know that, Jay? Huh? How do you know that, Jay? How do you know they're coming after me? Oh, man, they are going to come after you. Yeah, I already know that, right? I already know that, in a sense, as to when everything's shut down, they're coming after me. I know that that's the end game. But in between, when you're talking about, oh, you mean people on YouTube are going to come after me. I see. I understand. I'm just wondering how you understood and knew that ahead of time. So, but when I say it, I mean it, because I've been through it, and I know how it works now, after a year and a half of being trolled and deceived. You know, I said it, and I wrote it. I wrote what I knew to be true, okay? Robin T's, it's the last time I will be deceived. I put it in that book that's adding to the book. Yeah, I typed it in that book. I'm not interested in that book anymore, because, well, what I did was I searched the matter out, right? Like you're supposed to, because that's what kings do, right? Kings, they search the matter out. Because when you're a child of God, you're a king on earth. You're a queen on earth. But you're not filthy rich in your pockets, and you're not filthy rich, period. You're cleanly rich in the spirit. So I just look at it as it's interesting, okay? It did say, I mean, I didn't find one bad. Look, here's the bottom line. If gematria is real, right? If it's that book, then I wouldn't be called a false prophet, lying CIA agent right now by the person who is in charge of writing in that book. Because the hypocrisy of it all is my name, according to everything that I wrote out, I didn't see one bad thing in there at all. I seen exactly what was in there with what I was doing, trying to save people from basically the fire. So I come to the conclusion that if that is all true, when you look up the number that pertains to your date of birth, address, name, whatever, and there's not a blemish on your name, well then how can you be accused of being a false prophet, lying CIA agent? Huh? That's the part that you might as well just and give it up. There's credit and there's discredit. There's credibility, and then there is you're just shit out of luck. My credibility, well, my credit is shot, all right? But that's worldly credit, because my credit card information was being put out on YouTube by the agent, and so I seen what was coming, and so I just lent it. I stepped away from that system, all right, slowly but surely, because I know everything's shutting down anyway. So I stepped away from that credit system, but my credibility on YouTube itself is not shot. There's questions about it because they were created by the agents. Just a few, a handful. I'm pretty sure we all know who I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure we can all figure out who's who now, unless you're either still deceived, still on the fence, or you just don't know what I'm talking about. But the ones that do know what I'm talking about, and the ones on the other side, hey, don't forget to give me a thumbs down, because that's the most important thing to me. I kind of do, like, I'll gauge the message off of the thumbs down, because I'm just wondering how come some of them, when it's like some of them only get a couple thumbs down, others, like, I gotta check that gematria video again, but man, boy, I mean, look, I said I'm going to offend people by talking about gematria. And yeah, I got a lot of thumbs down on that video, the first one. But I don't get offended. That's the difference between me and the fake Jesus. Any fake Jesus walking the earth, anyone who claims they have Christ inside of them, if you get offended easily and you're fast to anger, I mean, just read your Bible. It'll tell you that there's an issue that you probably might have, that you need to go to the Father, God the Father, the Creator. Not you can say Father all you want, but you can be referring to Satan, your father, Lucifer, or if you think Lucifer is Satan or whatever. But the Bible does talk about the name, the one that deceiveth the whole world, that old serpent, the dragon, Satan, the devil. It doesn't say Lucifer, but it says every other name that he's called. So I just find that a little interesting too. And he's the one that's going to be tossed into, the spiritual lake of fire. But then again, who am I? Who am I to believe that all of the world is going to turn to God after the elite plays out their biggest deception that has ever happened in the existence of the creation? that starts to turn people to God, backfiring with every single person that you see starts to backfire. When you're expecting that person to go kill somebody else for a bite of food, it's not even going to get to that point. But initially, when there's a mass major destruction, you got to keep in mind God's heart, God's law is written on your heart, okay? Your first natural reaction is going to be love thy neighbor. That's when you're truly going to love your neighbor. If you hate your neighbor now, I don't care how much you hate your neighbor. When devastation strikes, you're going to forget about why you even hate your neighbor. And if you hate your neighbor, well, you're a liar anyway, because if you hate your neighbor and you say you love God, well, you're lying, because God is your neighbor. Each individual person is God's. I didn't say they are God's. I said is God's property. You know, like, you down with OPP? Yeah, you know me. God's property, not God's. So I don't claim to be a God. I claim to be God's. I just don't claim to be a God. Did he make us in his image? Well, I'll tell you what. When you listen to the other false prophets on YouTube, the other ones that are being attacked just like I am, you learn from them. And you learn that, you know, we're made in the image of God according to the Bible. However, is the image of God, well, let me ask this. Is God sinful? Is there a sin inside of God? Of love? Because if so, well, we know there isn't. So, because there isn't, then how are we actually made in the image of God? How can we be made in the image of God when man is naturally born sinful and dumb? So image must have another meaning to it. That's all I'm saying. Look up the word image. It has many meanings. Look up the word slain. It has many meanings. Literal ones for sure. But for me, I've experienced being slain by the, I wouldn't say the word of God, but the heartbreak of God. You come to God with a broken and a contrite heart, and he will not despise you. But when you come to him with all this pride and arrogance, who? Depart from me, clown. I never knew you. Ye who work iniquity. So yeah, I was slain. I was just slain by God. My spirit was slain by God when I had a broken and a contrite heart. And then there's other people that get slain by the actual word of God. And then there's people that get slain for holding on to the testimony of God. And these are all people like that guy right there driving. He could have been one of them. The person in front of it could have been another. I'm talking about people that are alive, living. And this is why, and I respect the people. I respect the people that, even though you don't agree with my understanding of the entire world is going to turn back to God alive before they decide to start killing everybody. Even if you don't agree with that, hey, remember, that's my faith. And it's my hope. It's my hope and faith of the unseen. Obviously, it's something that's never happened before, right? Hasn't everybody died who's ever lived so far before us? Of course. So, but this is a generation. There are going to be people alive and caught up, right? Those that remain alive, caught up. You can look at caught up whatever way you want to. But I respect and appreciate the people that can have a difference of an opinion and not attack, just like I'm not attacking you. I'm not attacking people for believing in a rapture that we're going to literally float up somehow. I mean, is it possible that God can do it? Of course it is. So I can't say I absolutely know for sure. No, it's just an interpretation. It's an understanding. It's what I believe. It could be true. It could be not. It could be hot. It could be cold. At least I'm not lukewarm. I know God's not going to spew me out of His mouth for trying to interpret His word and understand it correctly. That's what we're all supposed to do. But the EMP, it's meant to get rid of all of these telephone poles and use everything wireless. So they are going to shut it down. But remember, that's the beginning of letting my people go. When it's shut down, when the money collapses, when the dollar bill is worth nothing, it's the beginning of the ending of slavery. The tables are already turned. It's almost at, it's like 1 minute to 12 o'clock. And it has spun 359 degrees. And we have one more degree to go. You know, it's going to be a tough degree. It might even be freaking 1 degrees when this happens, with the way they're going to manipulate the weather and make it freezing. So 1 more degree will be a 360 degree circle where everything goes around full circle, and the elite's power is cut, because I believe once they cut our power, once they collapse the money, it truly is the beginning of being set free. And on top of that, getting ready to meet your Creator. And then when they turn their face to come back to the fort of their own land, I have a feeling God's gonna, because He can. He's gonna take their electronics. You know how okay, you know how if you have a kid, right, and you punish the kid and you take away their electronics, but for good, and all their electricity and their communications to try to round everybody up and kill them. Well, how are you going to do that when you can't communicate with each other anymore? Because all of your satellites are destroyed. All of your communications are ripped apart by God. That's what I believe God's going to do. And then after that, well, then that's the part that it's a clean broom sweep and all things are new.